Level 1. The applicant. You apply online like everyone else. There's a form on the FBI website. You fill in your name, your education, your work history. You click submit and wait. 5 months later, you get an email. They want to interview you. You drive to a field office on your own dime. The building looks like any other federal facility. Fluorescent lights, bad coffee. A woman in a navy suit asks you questions for 3 hours. Where did you grow up? What languages do you speak? Have you ever used drugs? Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever defaulted on a debt? The questions seem random, but they're not. They're building a profile. They're looking for patterns. They're looking for lies. You pass the interview. Then comes the physical fitness test. You run a timed 1.5 miles. You do push-ups until your arms give out. You do sit-ups until your stomach burns. Then comes the polygraph. You sit in a chair with sensors strapped to your chest, your fingers, your arm. An examiner asks you questions while monitoring your heart rate, your breathing, your skin conductivity. Have you ever committed a crime you weren't caught for? Have you ever lied on a federal form? Have you ever had contact with a foreign intelligence service? The machine can't actually detect lies, but you don't know that. You sweat, you stutter, you tell the truth because you're terrified of what happens if you don't. 4 weeks later, you get a letter. You've been accepted into the Special Agent Training Program. Welcome to the FBI. Level 2, the trainee. They send you to Quantico, Virginia. The agents call it the Academy. It's 547 acres of woods, classrooms, and training facilities surrounded by Marine Corps land and armed guards. For the next 20 weeks, this is your home. You wake up at 5 a.m. You run miles before breakfast. You sit in classrooms learning about federal law, criminal procedure, and investigative technique. Tradecraft is the Bureau's word for the craft of the case. You learn how to spot surveillance. There's a car that's been behind you for 3 turns. There's a man reading a newspaper who looked at you twice. There's a woman on a park bench who was at the diner this morning. You learn to see patterns that civilians miss. You learn how to lose a tail. You duck into a department store, walk through 3 floors, exit through the loading dock, hop in a waiting car, and disappear. You learn how to lift prints, run wiretaps, plant recorders, and photograph documents without being detected. You practice on real equipment. The cars come from the motor pool. The weapons come from the armory. You learn how to flip informants, which is their word for convincing people to betray their own crews. You study psychology, manipulation, persuasion. You learn the 4 motivations: money, ideology, coercion, and ego. Everyone fits into one of these categories. Your job is to figure out which one and exploit it. You run practice cases in a fake town called Hogan's Alley, complete with a bank, a motel, and actors playing criminals. Your instructors play the role of suspects and witnesses trying to outsmart you. If they fool you, you fail. If you fail too many times, you're out. The washout rate is real. Some people crack under the pressure. Some people can't handle the firearms. Some people are too soft for this work. The people who make it aren't necessarily the smartest or the strongest. They're the ones who can think on their feet. They're the ones who can read a room and a lie and a long silence. They're the ones who can compartmentalize, who can see terrible things and then go home and eat dinner with their families like nothing happened. You graduate near the top of your class. They give you a badge and a service weapon. You are now an FBI special agent. Your real career is about to begin. Level 3, the field agent. Your first posting is a resident agency in a mid-sized city, a place still figuring out whether its biggest problem is drugs, or gangs, or fraud. Officially, you're a federal law enforcement officer. Your name is on a roster. You have a desk in a bullpen. You attend community meetings in uncomfortable suits, making small talk with people you're secretly evaluating as potential sources. You shake hands with local cops and remember everything they say. You write reports about cases and developments that go into files back at headquarters. Unofficially, you're a hunter. Your real job is to build cases. A source is anyone who has access to information you want. A street dealer who knows the supply chain. A bookkeeper who knows where the money moves. An accountant working for a crooked firm. A trucker who drives routes the Bureau can't watch. A secretary who handles sensitive records. Anyone with access is a potential source. You identify targets. You study their habits, their weaknesses, their vulnerabilities. Does he have money problems? Does she have a sick child who needs expensive treatment? Is he angry at the people he works for? Is she scared of going to prison? Everyone has a pressure point. Your job is to find it and press it. Your first flip takes 7 months. He's a mid-level player in a trafficking ring. He has access to the ledgers. He has a felony hanging over his head. You approach him after an arrest. You buy him coffee. You become his lifeline. You offer him a deal to cut his time. Then you ask for more, then more. By the time he realizes what's happening, he's in too deep to walk away. You don't ask him to destroy his crew. You ask him to share some records, just a few, nothing major, just enough to stay out of prison. He agrees. He has no choice. You now have a source inside the organization. You file a report. Your supervisors are pleased. Level 4, the undercover. Most agents work in the open. They're investigators, or analysts, or task force members. They have badges. They have desks in the office. If they get burned working a case, they get pulled and reassigned. It's frustrating, but not dangerous. Their families are safe. Their careers continue. You're offered something different. Deep undercover work, UC they call it. It's one of the most dangerous jobs in the bureau. You won't carry a badge. You won't have backup standing in the room. You won't have a government ID or anything connecting you to the FBI. If you get made, you're on your own. The people around you will not call the police. They'll handle it themselves. In some crews, that means a beating. In others, it means a body in a river and a story no one ever tells. The work matters more. The cases are bigger. The risks are astronomical. You say yes. They build you a backstop. That's their word for a fake identity. You're now a fixer with a record. You work for a front that doesn't actually do any business. It's a bureau cover with a real office, real phones, and real paperwork. None of the targets know who you really are. You move through circles agents could never approach. You meet people the task force can't meet. You earn trust the badge could never buy. You live your cover every hour of every day. Your neighbors think you're a small-time hustler. Your girlfriend thinks you keep odd company. Your parents think you quit law enforcement years ago. The only people who know the truth are your handlers back at the office. You haven't seen them in person in months. All communication goes through coded calls and quiet meetings. You are completely alone. Level 5, the SWAT operator. They pull you out of undercover work after your cover nearly cracks during a buy gone wrong. A target got suspicious. They started watching you. They photographed you meeting with a handler. You spotted it and aborted, but it was close. Too close. You're not burned, but you're compromised. You can never work that city again. They offer you a new path. The Hostage Rescue Team, HRT. This is the Bureau's tactical tip of the spear. These aren't agents who occasionally carry rifles. These are operators who occasionally make arrests. The most elite unit in federal law enforcement, based at Quantico, ready to deploy anywhere in hours. These are the people who go through the door first. They do the jobs that are too dangerous, too high stakes, too volatile for ordinary teams. You go through another round of training. This time it's not interviews and case files. It's months of the most intense tactical training in the country. Close quarters combat, breaching and explosives, advanced marksmanship with every weapon the Bureau fields, fast rope insertions from helicopters, maritime operations, sniper craft, survival and evasion. Most of your instructors are former military special operations, the best of the best, now working for the Bureau. They don't care about your interview skills. They care about whether you can clear a room without getting your team killed. Your first call-out is a barricaded fugitive. You're part of a team hitting a compound at dawn. A violent offender, armed and waiting, who has killed before and swears he won't be taken alive. You spend 3 days staging in the cold, eating field rations, watching the windows through a scope. You work with local police who may or may not follow your lead. Some of them resent the federal team. Some of them want the glory. Loyalties get complicated when cameras show up. Everyone wants the win. You never know who might cut a corner that gets someone hurt. You give the signal and the door comes down. You watch through your sights as the room erupts and goes still. Sometimes the intelligence is good. The threat is contained. Bad people go to jail. Sometimes the intelligence is wrong. The room is full of the wrong people. Innocents get hurt. Children, bystanders, people who are just in the wrong place. You try not to think about the times it goes bad. You can't afford to. You have another call out tomorrow. You're given a citation in a closed ceremony for an operation the public will never read about. Your family will never fully know what you did, or why you sometimes wake up reaching for a weapon that isn't there. Level 6, the team leader. After 5 years on the team, you're promoted to team leader. You run your own element now. 8 operators, 4 agents like yourself, career bureau, 4 specialists who came up through the military. They've seen more combat than you, but you make the decisions. You're responsible for the operation. You're responsible for their lives. Your team is deployed to a border standoff during a wave of cartel violence. The local government is overwhelmed. The region is chaos. Rival groups are fighting in the open. Stash houses are being raided and emptied. Your mission is to locate and recover a kidnapped federal witness before he disappears for good. The wrong hands could be a cartel, could be a corrupt police unit, could be any of a dozen players who want him silenced. You spend 6 weeks near the line while the violence boils around you. You operate operate at night. You sleep during the day, 2 hours at a time in safe houses that change every 48 hours. You pay informants for whispers. You lean on detainees held by friendly forces. You trust sources who might be lying, might be setting you up, might be working for the other side. You hit stash houses in the middle of the night, breaching doors, never knowing if you'll find empty rooms or armed men. You find the witness in a basement the official report said was empty, along with evidence that could bring down a network, proof that could put hundreds of people away. You get him out because there's no time to wait for approval. You move fast, and you don't look back. On your last night, your convoy is ambushed. One of your men is hit. 2 are wounded. You drag one of them to the extraction point while rounds crack past your head. The vehicles arrive. You get out. The mission is logged as a success. You write letters to the families of the hurt. The letters leave out the worst of it. You can't tell them what really happened. You can't tell anyone. Level 7. The Supervisory Agent. You've been in the field for 15 years. Your body is breaking down. Old injuries that never healed, right? A shoulder that dislocates if you move it wrong from a fall during a raid. Knees that ache every morning from too many hard landings. Ringing in your ears that never goes away from too many flashbangs. You're 42 years old and you feel 60. The doctors tell you that you can't run operations anymore. Too many injuries, too much wear. They offer you a desk, but not just any desk. Supervisory Special Agent, running a squad. You're now the senior agent, over an entire program in a major field office. This is one of the demanding jobs in the Bureau. Every case, every source, every piece of evidence flows through you. You manage dozens of agents, investigators, analysts, technical staff, support personnel. You manage hundreds of open files, sources who report to your agents, informants who provide tips, cooperators who can get into places you can't. You meet with the special agent in charge every morning to coordinate priorities. You meet with local agencies to maintain working relationships. Some of them are partners. Some of them are rivals pretending to be partners. Some of them are people you trained who now run their own units. The politics are exhausting. Headquarters wants results. The office wants to avoid scandal. The local leaders want to know why federal agents keep showing up in places they shouldn't be. You balance all of it. You approve operations that could blow up into headlines if they go wrong. You kill operations that could break a case but carry too much risk. Every decision is a gamble. Every win is buried in a file. Every failure ends up on the front page of the New York Times. You sleep 4 hours a night. You haven't taken a vacation in 3 years. Your marriage ended during your second-long assignment far from home. Your kids are grown now. They don't really know you. They know the version of you that came home. They know the person you pretend to be. Level 8. The Task Force Commander. They need someone to run an operation that can't fail. A national task force. It crosses agencies, jurisdictions, and borders. The partners have been brought in. The local services provide cover and ask few questions. The operation itself is unremarkable from the outside. An office, a warehouse, a row of unmarked cars. Inside there are case boards. There are interview rooms. There are servers holding everything you've gathered. The targets are high value. Network leaders, moneymen, fixers, couriers who know how the whole thing moves. They've been tracked across a dozen states. They've never been formally charged. They don't know how close you are. They have no idea their people are talking. As far as they know, nothing has changed. Your job is to take them all down at once. The methods you use are sensitive, aggressive investigation. That's the official term. Long surveillance, wiretaps, financial pressure, leverage on family. Some of these methods were clearly legal when you started using them. Some of them were approved by careful memos. Some of them are still being argued over by lawyers who have never sat across from someone who knows where the next shipment is going. You tell yourself it's necessary. You tell yourself the cases save lives. You tell yourself the people in your sights would ruin thousands of families if no one stopped them. Some nights, you believe it. Some nights, you lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if you're still one of the good guys. You run the task force for 2 years. When you finish, they give you a commendation that stays in a sealed file. The work continues. Someone else is running it now. You don't ask who. You don't want to know. Level 9. The Assistant Director. You're back at headquarters now, the Hoover Building, the bureau you first entered 25 years ago as a nervous applicant. Now you walk past the wall of honor for agents who died in service. Some of them were your friends. Some of them died on operations you planned. You run an entire division of the bureau. Maybe it's the Criminal Investigative Division covering the worst offenders. Maybe it's the Critical Incident Response Group overseeing all tactical operations. Maybe it's the Counterterrorism Division hunting the people who want to kill Americans. Hundreds of agents report to you. Thousands of sources nationwide feed information into your systems. Billions of dollars in budget funding flow through your accounts. Money that appears in reports, but never in detail. Money that buys things the public never sees. You brief the director on sensitive operations. You sit in the Situation Room at the table with the Attorney General and the Homeland Security Advisor while decisions are made that will never be discussed openly. You recommend targets for major takedowns. You authorize operations in places where the Bureau treads carefully. Cases that touch politicians, corporations, foreign governments, matters where the line between crime and policy changes week to week. You sign off on activities that would end careers if anyone ever found out about them. You testify before congressional oversight committees, but the real briefings happen in closed sessions with no transcripts. The senators ask questions. You give answers that are technically true, but carefully incomplete. Everyone in the room knows the game. They don't want to know the details. They want plausible deniability. You give it to them. The operations continue. The cases pile up in cities most Americans never think about. The intelligence flows. Some of it stops attacks. Some of it sparks new fights. The whole thing is a machine that runs on secrets and pressure, and you're one of the people who keeps it running. Level 10, the legend. You retire after 30 years. 30 years of cases. 30 years of operations that stayed quiet. 30 years of sources recruited and burned and sometimes lost. 30 years of decisions that changed lives in ways that will never be written in any book. There's a small ceremony in a conference room at headquarters. 50 people attend. Most of them you've worked with for decades. A few are agents you mentored who are now running their own divisions. The director gives a speech about your service to your country. He talks about sacrifices. He talks about dedication. He talks about the price of justice. Your colleagues applaud. Some of them are crying. You receive a medal. The Memorial Star Honor, among the highest the Bureau can give. It will sit in a box in your closet because you can't really explain it. You can't lay out the cases. You can't tell anyone everything you did to earn it. You sign more agreements. You're reminded that much of what you did, much of what you saw, much of what you know, stays sealed for the rest of your life. You move to a house in the country, far from the city. You don't have many friends. The people you worked with are scattered around the country or gone. The people you knew before the Bureau are strangers now. You can't tell them where you've been for 30 years. You can't explain the scars. You can't explain why you wake up at 3 a.m. and walk the perimeter of your property looking for threats that aren't there. Your pension is generous. Your healthcare is excellent. The government takes care of its own, at least financially. But you're alone with your memories. The sources you flipped who were found out and killed. The operations that went wrong. The people you broke. The people you couldn't save. None of it makes the news. None of it will ever be fully told. You are a legend in a building no stranger will ever enter. You did things that your country needed done. Things that would unsettle most citizens if they knew. You carry that weight alone. You'll carry it until you die. And when you die, there will be a name on a wall at headquarters. A star, a date, a quiet line in a record few will ever read. One more anonymous sacrifice in a fight that never ends. Somewhere in a college dorm room or a suburban apartment or a police academy, a young person is filling out an application on the FBI website. They're dreaming of adventure. They're dreaming of serving their country. They're dreaming of being part of something bigger than themselves. They're imagining the heroes from the movies, the agents who make this life look glamorous. They have no idea what they're really signing up for. They don't know about the loneliness, the moral compromises, the things they'll see that they can never unsee. They don't know that this job will hollow them out and fill them back up with secrets. But they'll learn. They always do. The cycle begins.